The season just ended, but the best thing about the NBA is about to turn into a reality show now with all the off-season moves and drama. And to kick shit off, who better than Kevin Durant, who was just traded to the Houston Rockets for Jalen Green, Dylan Brooks, the 10th pick, and 5 second-round picks. I want to know what you guys think, but this is what I think. I think it was a great move. Houston didn't have to give up a ton of young assets. Obviously, Jalen Green is a young asset and someone who they're betting on. But it just goes to show, man, when you if you don't show up in the playoffs, playoffs is where playoffs make and break people. And I have to believe that his inability to be effective this year in the playoffs led to him being tradable. Dylan Brooks, a defensive cornerstone, one of the best on-ball defenders, and just fuck shit up guys in the league. A big fan of Dylan Brooks. Not always a fan of his antics, but I just like the way he gets down. He was in this, and then the 10th pick in a deep draft, and then the second round picks. And I'm hearing a lot of people. Obviously, this trade just happened, and they gave up too many picks. But to me, if Desmond Bain gets 4 first round picks for him, Rudy Gobert gets 6 first round picks and an exception for him. I don't give a fuck how old Kevin Durant is. Kevin Durant will always demand more than those people. And the fact that they didn't have to give up any 1st round picks to get Kevin Durant, I think Houston did a great job. But I still think they still, and you're hearing they still have some wiggle room. Are they done moving? You've heard names like Giannis possibly teaming up with Kevin Durant. You've heard names like Jaylen Brown can possibly head to Houston. So Houston isn't done with one of the best coaches in the league. They still have a lot of assets. I think anyone outside of Amen Thompson and Kevin Durant for the right number. I mean, we were talking earlier, would you trade Giannis for Sengun? Absolutely. I think that's a no-brainer. So look out for Houston continuing to try to improve their roster. They did so with Kevin Durant. But again, now we get into this free agent frenzy. Words are also that the Suns are still trying to shop Jalen Green. So Jalen Green's final destination may not end up being Phoenix. Some of the assets that they still have, this Rockets team has that they didn't have to get rid of this round, but who knows coming around if they're continuing to make more moves. They still have Jabari Smith, who was the second pick. Is it Rex Shepard? What's his name? I know Reed Shepard. Okay, Reed. I was a big fan of him. Played really well in the summer league. Didn't get a ton of minutes this year, but someone who I think will be effective. Eason, someone who can put the ball in the basket. And then obviously Amen Thompson, who him and his brother are two of the young up and coming stars, two-way stars in this league. And then this is what they still have as far as draft capital. 2027, they have a situation with the Rockets and Suns. Whoever has the more favorable pick, that'll go to Houston. 28, they have their 1st round pick. 29, they have the Mavericks 1st round pick, and then another situation with the Suns. Whoever has the more favorable pick, they get. 30, they have their own. 31, they have their own, and 32, they have their own. So they have a lot of, again, draft capital and young talent. So keep an eye on the Rockets. They may not be done. Moving on to one of the greatest franchises in sports history. The Lakers were sold last week for 10 billion to the owner of the Dodgers, Mark Walter. This guy is buying up everything LA sports. I heard there was rumors that he may not be done either. What does this mean from a historical significance? What does this mean from an emotional significance? And what does this mean moving forward for the Los Angeles Lakers? To take a trip down memory lane, Dr. Buss originally bought this team for 67.5 million in 1979. Um, if I'm not mistaken, Ramona Shelburne did a podcast on, didn't he borrow some money from Donald Sterling to get the deal done? If I'm not mistaken, yeah, if I'm not mistaken, Donald Sterling helped him get this team. And not only at the time was it the team, but if I'm not mistaken, it was the form and some other shit. So back in 79, he got this team for let's say $68 million. And in 2025, they sold for 10 billion. Good news is they're still going to keep Jeanie in charges of in her place. And if I'm not mistaken, they still have 15% of the team, right? The Buss family, 15 to 17% was able to keep under the Buss family name. But what I want to know moving forward is what does this mean for the management side of the Lakers? People have often said it's a lot of buddy buddy in that management, with friends close to the family and favors being done, and that's why certain people are in certain positions. I can't confirm or deny any of that. It's above my pay grade, but obviously being here long enough, I've heard the same thing that everyone else heard. So does Mark come in and flip that upside down? Let's also keep in mind who's a part of this ownership group that's coming in to the Lakers. Magic Johnson. And we all know how his tenure ended in management, and his feud with Rob Pelinka. So do we see Magic step back in and rebirth a prominent role in this organization? Does Rob stay? Does everyone else in place stay? So this is going to be very interesting to watch. Obviously, as a new owner, you don't want to come in and blow a lot of shit up, but if you have pieces that are coming with you that are very capable, which he does, it could mean a shakeup for the front office of the Los Angeles Lakers. So we will see um, what this means. But first and foremost, on the floor, what does this mean on the floor? Is this new owner is not coming in that you see? They don't play with the Dodgers. They do whatever they need to do to get shit done with the Dodgers. So obviously, staying within the restrictions of the NBA, they're going to go out and make some moves, hopefully to bolster this roster. So I think outside of Luka and LeBron, anybody can possibly be packaged up and out of here. So really interesting offseason for the Lakers. Started off with the boom by selling the team. But obviously, they're going to make a wave in the offseason this year.